Welcome, thrill seekers, to a bone-chilling episode of BTS that's Behind the Screams. Just kidding, that's only funny if you follow our other channels. It's still top 5 scary because this horrifying mug is the one on your screen. That's the scariest thing about this channel, I think we can agree. I'm Taylor, your casual crypt keeper, and I've got something for you today. Today we are plunging into the eerie realm of the silver screen, where the supernatural meets the spotlight. Lights, camera, and a dash of malevolence. Join us as we uncover the dark secrets lurking behind the scenes, where the lines between fiction and reality blur into a nightmarish dance. Now you brace yourself for the hair-raising countdown of the top 5 terrifying movie sets that curse the cast. You let me know which of these scary movie curses has you feeling the heebie-jeebies. Alright, let's dive on in. Number 5, Poltergeist. On release, the original Poltergeist was thought to be one of the scariest movies ever made. Perhaps that statistic might seem a little quaint now. If you watch the movie, it might be a little tame. I think it's still personally a classic. But if you knew the backstory behind the film, maybe you'd have a very different tune. It would be pretty ironic if a movie about being haunted by a malevolent spirit had some evil entity or a curse attached to its production, wouldn't it? Or is it all a series of contrivances blown out of proportion by sensationalist reporting? You take a listen to some of the strange deaths and misfortunes that came out of the Poltergeist series, and you decide for yourself if it's fact or fiction. Dominique Dunne was the actress who played the family's older sister, Dana, in the original film, who was tragically killed by her boyfriend a few months after the release of the original film. She was 22 years old when she passed. Heather O'Rourke, who is the young actress who played Carol Ann in all 3 films, died tragically shortly after the 3rd one, very young after complications with an intestinal disease. And Julian Beck, an actor most remembered for playing the terrifying preacher Cain from the 2nd Poltergeist film, passed away from stomach cancer shortly after completing filming for the movie. Now there are a few other cases of actors or crew members involved with the film dying in mysterious circumstances, some attributed to a curse, some simply thought to be a bit of misfortune. The curse gained a bit of attention due mostly, I think we can all agree, because the idea of a horror movie franchise about curses and spirits having a string of mysterious deaths was just too juicy not to report on like I'm doing now. Director Steven Spielberg has outright denied and dismissed the notion of a curse, believing the events were all solely tragic coincidences and actions that could have happened to anybody. But also, I don't think if you're a director in Hollywood, you're gonna come out and say, yeah, I think my movie sets are cursed. Come work on my movies, come work on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I promise there's not a ghost. One last little bit of strange truth regarding the Poltergeist films before I leave you for a different one. You know the legendary scene when they're in the pool and all the skeletons from the gravesite are rising up, tangling with the mom? Remember all those creepy cool skeleton animatronics and puppets? Well, confirmed through the film's makeup artist one Craig Reardon, those skeleton puppets were in fact exhumed skeletons of real bodies. So perhaps the movie, being set on top of a gravesite is not that far from the truth. Perhaps these spirits were more than a little irritated to not be compensated for their labor, not even get a credit or lunch for the day, and haunted the set. Honestly, I'd do the same. And if you're looking for more stories about creepy curses, urban legends, hauntings, folklore, basically anything freaky under the sun and above it, because we got lots of alien stuff, Top 5 Scary is the place to be. Hit that subscribe button, don't miss a single scream. Hit the bell if you wouldn't mind so you get up-to-date updates on all our best content, but you do that at the end of this video if you wouldn't mind, because I got 4 more haunted sets coming up for you right now. Number 4, The Conjuring. Now we've talked about The Conjuring loads and loads on the channel, both talking about the fictitious canon of the movies and their larger cinematic universe, and also the real paranormal investigators that helped inspire them. We thank the Warren family and estate from all of us at Top 5 Scary for inspiring these movies and also for continuing not to sue us. We love you for it. So the first Conjuring film, as I'm sure everyone is deeply aware of, was based on the alleged real-life experience of the Perron family, who claimed to have endured intense paranormal activity in their Rhode Island home during the 70s, believed to be caused by the spirit of an old witch. The belief is that this curse carried on into the production of the films. Now, Joey King, who played one of the young daughters of the Perron family, I think Christine in the film, despite not performing any stunts at all, would frequently complain and find herself covered in bruises and scratches she could not explain. Vera Farmiga, who plays Lorraine Warren and can call me anytime, would wake up at 3 a.m. in her trailer on set and would find scratches all over her laptop as well as on her lap, again, that she couldn't explain or rationalize in any way. The film's producer, one Rob Cullen, said that on multiple occasions he saw items moving in the prop version of the Warrens' artifact room, as some of the artifacts used on camera were Warren artifacts. Screenwriter Chad Hayes said that the scariest thing that happened on the set of The Conjuring was a visitation by the original Perron family who were coming to check out and make sure the story was being told accurately. As they were visiting, one of the Perron daughters announced that something really bad is going to happen today. As if she'd known ahead of time, the girl's elderly mother fell and shattered her hip, requiring an operation. Now, these films are already scary enough without getting into whether or not they're actually cursed in real life too. I just hope whenever Annabelle is on set that they do take the proper precautions with her. I hear she can be a massive diva if you don't give her everything she wants. Just leave that girl in her trailer. Number 3. The Exorcist. Hey, isn't it a bit odd that all of these things happened on famous horror movies? You think there'd be at least one report of a cursed set working on Babe 3, Pigs in Space or something? You're telling me they made all of those Air Bud movies and not a single one of them was cursed? I just don't buy it, just on law of averages. So coming up next is going to be The Exorcist, another film that I'm sure at one point your dad said was the scariest movie ever made. It's an absolute classic and a tentpole of the genre based on the novel written by William Peter Blatty. The film introduces us to legendary horror character Regan and her struggle with the possession by the demon Pazuzu. The curse is thought to have begun when during the filming of the eponymous exorcism scene, a fire broke out on the set, burning up and causing serious damage to the house set. A pigeon got caught in a circuit box leading to the blaze, but you have to admit, it is more than just a little bit bizarre that a fire would catch on during an exorcism scene in a movie about demon possession and exorcisms. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Now, the actor who played Burke Dennings, Jack McGowan, passed away shortly after a bout with the flu after his filming. The actress who played Regan's mother, one Ellen Burstyn, suffered a permanent spinal injury during filming of a scene where she is tossed violently away by the possessed Regan. Now, like all things mentioned on this list, this could just easily be our brain trying to find patterns and coincidences that simply aren't there, heightened by the fact that it's a very famous horror movie about possession, and it makes it seem more appetizing and enticing that it could be cursed. Or it could truly be a case of something supernatural in the mix. Only you can decide for sure. Number 2, The Omen. Coming up next today on our list of cursed film productions is the 1970s Donner classic, The Omen. Wouldn't you believe, another cursed horror movie? I didn't even specify when I was making this video that they should be cursed horror movies. It just so happens that almost every cursed production happens to be a horror movie from the 70s. Now, one of the most widely discussed incidents occurred when a plane carrying the film's executive producer, that's Mace Neufeld, was struck by lightning. Now, don't worry too much, the plane landed safely, but many involved thought that, well, if you'll pardon the pun, the lightning strike seemed like an omen. I bet they made that joke a few times on set. Probably kept things fairly light. Several incidents involving animals have been attributed to this curse. During the filming, the crew experienced numerous encounters with aggressive and unpredictable animals. You know, one is one thing, but numerous aggressive and unpredictable animals, that's a curse. Shortly after the release of The Omen, a crew member named John Richardson, who had worked on the film's special effect, was involved in a horrible, tragic accident in the Netherlands. His girlfriend Liz Moore was slain in the accident, and Richardson claimed that the accident was reminiscent of a decapitation that he had worked on for the film. Oh, I wonder if I can say decapitation. Probably not. Another extremely tragic event linked to the curse was the death of actor Gregory Peck's son, Jonathan. Jonathan took his own life, and as if that wasn't sad enough, a chilling twist was revealed when the incident occurred shortly before the film's release, and the shooting took place at the same location where The Omen filmed the graveyard scene. And in a truly bizarre turn of events that almost seems like divine retribution, a cinema projectionist in Italy was killed when a lightning strike caused the theater to catch fire while showing The Omen. This incident added to the growing belief in the curse surrounding the film. So maybe all of these bad omens did mean something, because it definitely sounds like the production of this is just a little cursed. If you've made it all the way to the end at number 1, thanks for sticking all the way through. And coming in at the number 1 spot is going to be The Crow. The Crow is a 1994 cult classic and also happens to be a huge favorite of mine. I love this movie. It's like goth RoboCop, basically. A rock star gets killed, he comes back to life as like a cool goth superhero. It's amazing. It would eventually blossom into a bit of a franchise with some lesser sequels, but the first is all anyone remembers or knows it for, and sadly it isn't for its slick gothic atmosphere or cool action, but rather the unbelievable tragedy surrounding its lead actor. Now before we get into that, the production of The Crow was plagued by a series of unfortunate accidents and coincidences. Equipment malfunctions, prop failures, a carpenter getting seriously burned, one crew member even got a screwdriver jammed through his hand accidentally, and even just reading those words is making my stomach do things. The curse even extended beyond the original film when the sequel, The Crow, City of Angels, which you can skip, released in 1996, faced its own tragedy. A stunt gone wrong during filming resulted in a carpenter being severely injured after a fall. Although he survived, it did perpetuate this belief that something about the character of Eric Draven and the Crow franchise was cursed. But of course, we've beaten around the bush long enough. The central tragedy regarding The Crow was the horrible accident that claimed Brandon Lee's life, son of legendary martial artist Bruce Lee. During a scene involving a prop firearm, a fragment of a dummy bullet lodged in the barrel discharged and struck Lee, who was immediately rushed to hospitals and after receiving 60 pints of blood transfusions still succumbed to his injuries, leading to an immense shock and grief among the cast and crew. Just a horrible, horrible accident. Among them was Chad Stileski, who was the stunt double for Brandon Lee, who is perhaps these days far more well known as the director and co-creator of the John Wick series. The incident with Brandon Lee deeply affected Stileski, who pledged as a director to never allow a loaded firearm, kind, blank, or otherwise on any of his film sets. And that's about all she wrote for this one, my ghouls and goblins. Thanks so much for watching. And that's all she wrote for this one. Creep on, creeping on, and I'll see you in the next one. She wrote for this one, my ghouls and goblins. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the microphone. Thanks so much for watching. Creep on, creeping on.